The ship Aurora Trail moved quietly through the edge of a shining blue nebula. Its silver hull reflected soft colors that danced across the stars. Inside, a small team of explorers worked with calm focus. Among them was a man named Ryan, a human scientist known for his patience and gentle nature. He was not loud or proud, but there was something peaceful about him that made others feel safe. Their mission was simple. They were searching for new worlds with life that could teach humans more about how nature worked in distant places. Ryan loved the idea of discovery, not for fame or riches, but because he wanted to understand beauty in its purest form. He often said that every living thing, no matter how strange, carried a story that deserved to be heard. When their scanners found signs of life on a small green planet near the edge of the nebula, Ryan's eyes lit up. The planet had clear water, warm sunlight, and air that could be breathed without a suit. It was perfect for exploration. The crew decided to land near a valley covered in forests of crystal-like trees that shimmered with soft light. As the landing craft touched down, the ground gave off a faint hum, as if the planet itself was alive and welcoming them. Ryan stepped out first. The air was cool and smelled like rain mixed with something sweet. The trees were tall and smooth, their trunks almost see-through, glowing gently from within. The sound of small wind chimes filled the air, though there was no breeze. Every step made the ground pulse lightly under his boots. Ryan's team began collecting samples. They moved together carefully, scanning plants and taking soil readings. After a while, Ryan noticed a narrow path between two glowing rocks. It led deeper into the forest where the light changed from blue to gold. His curiosity pulled him in. He told his team through the communicator that he would not go far. Then he followed the path, his heart steady but eager. The further he walked, the quieter it became. The chime-like sounds faded, replaced by a soft hum that came from the ground itself. Tiny flying creatures floated in the air, glowing softly like lanterns. Their wings made shapes like petals. Ryan smiled at the gentle beauty around him. He soon reached a clearing. In the center stood a wide pool of water so still that it looked like glass. Around it grew flowers that shone with faint pink light. On the other side of the pool was a figure, tall, graceful, and unlike anything he had ever seen. She stood nearly twice his height. Her body was covered in smooth plates that looked like a mix of crystal and metal. Her wings, folded neatly behind her, shimmered with colors that changed each time the light moved. Her eyes were large and bright violet, deep and calm but filled with caution. A soft crown-like shape grew from her head, glowing faintly. She looked both strong and elegant, and there was something regal about her presence. Ryan froze in awe. He realized he was looking at a living being, an intelligent one. She was not just another life form, but perhaps the ruler of this place. Her gaze was steady, studying him with quiet power. He felt no fear, only wonder. The being spoke, her voice soft but layered, as if several tones moved together like music. "Human," she said through a language that was not English but reached his mind through the translator in his suit. "You step on sacred ground. Why have you come?" Ryan bowed slightly. "I am Ryan," he said kindly. "We come in peace. We wish to learn and understand. I did not mean to intrude." She tilted her head, her violet eyes narrowing slightly. "Many say they come to learn, but most come to take." Ryan smiled gently. "Then let me be different." The queen, for it was clear she was one, stayed silent for a long moment. The air around them shimmered faintly as if the planet itself waited for her answer. Finally she spoke again. "I am called Queen Aurelian, guardian of this world. No human has ever walked here before. Your kind is new to my sight." Ryan nodded with respect. "It is an honor to meet you, Queen Aurelian. Your world is beautiful beyond words." She seemed surprised by his tone. Most who met her, even from other worlds, spoke with either fear or pride. This human's calmness felt different. His voice carried warmth, not arrogance. She studied him closely. "You call this world beautiful, yet your kind changes every world they touch. Why praise what you may soon destroy?" Ryan looked down at the glowing water, then back at her. "Because beauty deserves to be seen, not taken. I only wish to understand what makes it special." For a brief moment, her eyes softened. She stepped closer, and the light from her wings spread across the clearing, reflecting off the pool in waves of gold and violet. Ryan could see her face more clearly now. Her features were sharp but graceful, her eyes deep and full of stories. He noticed faint cracks across the edge of her crown, as if it had once been broken and mended with care. "You are not afraid of me," she said slowly. "Should I be?" he asked with a small smile. You do not seem like someone who wishes to harm. She paused, tilting her head again. Most who see me call me a creature. Some call me ugly. My form is not soft like yours. Ryan shook his head. I do not see ugliness. I see design, purpose, and strength. I see beauty in every shape that lives with kindness. The queen blinked, her wings flickering softly. Beauty, she repeated quietly. You use that word as if it carries no weight. To me, Ryan said, beauty means something that moves the heart, not something that pleases the eye. There was silence again. The queen looked at him with an expression that he could not read, half confusion, half wonder. For someone who had ruled her world for centuries, this simple human's words felt strange yet peaceful. You speak gently, she said. Most who come from the stars speak with noise and pride. Ryan smiled again. Sometimes quiet words travel farther. She gave a faint sound that almost resembled laughter, though it was soft and musical. Then her tone turned curious. Your people name everything they touch. What would you name this place? Ryan thought for a moment, looking at the glowing forest. The Garden of First Light, he said. Because it feels like the beginning of something. The beginning of what? She asked. Understanding, he replied. Her wings folded tighter as if she were thinking deeply. Perhaps your kind is not all the same, she said. But words are easy. Time will tell their truth. I agree, Ryan said. Time always tells truth. The queen looked toward the pool. The light of the water rose slightly, reflecting her tall shape beside the small human. You may return tomorrow, she said at last. But you must come alone. My guards will watch, and if you mean harm, you will not walk far. Ryan nodded with gratitude. I understand. I thank you for your trust, Queen Aurelian. He turned to leave, but before he could, she spoke again. Ryan, she said carefully, as if tasting his name. Why did you call me beautiful? He turned back with a kind smile. Because you are. Her wings glowed faintly and her eyes widened slightly. You see with strange eyes, human? Maybe, Ryan said softly. Or maybe I see with an open heart. For a long while, neither spoke. The soft hum of the forest returned and the golden light surrounded them both. Then Ryan bowed once more and walked back toward his ship, his steps light on the shining ground. As he disappeared into the trees, the queen remained by the pool. The water rippled with her reflection, showing her tall figure with its shining cracks and glowing eyes. She whispered quietly to herself, Gorgeous, he calls me gorgeous. Her wings lifted slightly, catching the soft glow of the nebula above. For the first time in many years, she did not hide her broken crown. Somewhere in the distance, the leaves chimed gently, as if the planet itself smiled with her. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the glowing forest. The light moved through the crystal trees like gentle fire, painting the air with colors. Ryan stood near the ship, preparing his small travel pack. He felt calm but curious. The queen had asked him to return alone, and he respected her wish. His team watched from a distance, trusting his judgment even if they did not fully understand why the alien ruler had spoken to him. Ryan carried a small translation sphere and a scanner that helped record sounds and images. He also brought a simple box filled with soft seeds from Earth. He liked giving gifts that carried life. Before leaving, he looked once at the sky and smiled. Exploration, he thought, was not about finding new places but meeting new hearts. The forest was quiet as he entered again. The path seemed to glow slightly brighter than before, as if remembering his steps. The creatures that floated in the air moved gently around him. Some brushed against his sleeve like friendly lights. The planet did not feel strange anymore. It felt alive, as though it accepted his presence. When he reached the clearing, Queen Aurelian was already waiting near the same pool. Her wings caught the morning light, shining in soft silver shades. She looked calm but curious. The space between them carried a peaceful silence. You returned, she said softly. As promised, Ryan replied with a smile. Thank you for allowing me to come back. She studied him for a moment. You come without guards, without weapons. You trust too easily. I came with respect, Ryan said. Trust is part of that. The queen moved closer, her wings folding neatly behind her. You humans speak with much trust, yet you walk among stars where danger lives. Ryan nodded. Sometimes the stars test our hearts, but if we only look for fear, we stop seeing beauty. She tilted her head again, her violet eyes watching him carefully. You speak of beauty often. It seems an important word for your kind. It is, Ryan said. Beauty reminds us that the universe still holds hope. She looked at the reflection of the light in the pool. You called me beautiful, she said quietly. I did not understand that. Ryan sat on a smooth rock nearby. Then let me explain, if you will allow. She gave a small nod. Speak. He pointed toward the glowing trees. Your world shines like living glass. Every sound, every color, every breath feels connected. It is not made by human hands, yet it feels alive. That is beauty. The queen listened but said nothing. Ryan turned his gaze toward her. You are part of this world. You move with its rhythm, and your presence carries peace. That too is beauty. She looked down slightly, her fingers brushing the edge of her wing. My form is cracked. My crown was broken long ago. My people hide their scars, for they are signs of weakness. Maybe scars are signs of strength, Ryan said gently. They show that someone has lived through pain and still stands. The queen blinked slowly. Your kind sees strength in broken things? We see stories, Ryan answered. Every scar tells one. For a long while, the queen stayed silent. The wind moved softly, carrying a faint scent from the flowers around them. Finally, she spoke again. My people do not understand your way of seeing. We build perfection. We shape our homes with smooth surfaces. We hide what is flawed. Ryan smiled softly. On Earth, perfection often feels cold. We find warmth in things that are slightly imperfect. A crooked tree, a cracked cup, a wrinkled smile. They remind us that life is real. The queen watched him with quiet surprise. Your words sound simple, yet they feel heavy. They come from the heart, he said. Sometimes the heart explains better than the mind. She turned toward the water again. The surface of the pool reflected both of them, the tall queen with her glowing wings and the small human with calm eyes. The reflection looked peaceful, as if two very different beings shared the same light. Your people, the queen said slowly. Have they always spoken kindly to others? Ryan shook his head. No, we have made mistakes many times, but every new meeting teaches us how to be better. Do you think this meeting will teach you? She asked. I think it already has, Ryan replied. The queen's eyes softened slightly. Then maybe it will teach me as well. Ryan reached into his pack and carefully opened the small box. Inside were several tiny brown seeds wrapped in soft cloth. I brought something for you, he said. She leaned closer, her eyes shining in curiosity. What is this? Seeds from my world, Ryan explained. They grow into plants called windflowers. They move with the light breeze and make a soft sound, almost like singing. The queen looked at the seeds. Why bring me this gift? Because sharing life builds friendship, Ryan said. These seeds remind me of peace. I thought they might find a new home here. She reached out slowly, her long fingers touching the small seeds with care. They are so small, yet they hold life. Yes, Ryan said. That is what makes them special. The queen studied the seeds for a moment, then nodded. You may plant one here. Let us see if your world can breathe in ours. Together they walked to a small spot beside the glowing pool. The soil felt soft and warm. Ryan knelt down and placed one seed gently in the ground. The queen watched closely as he covered it with fine dust and poured a few drops of water from the pool. When he finished, he looked up at her. Now we wait, he said. For how long? She asked. Every seed takes its own time, he replied. We cannot rush it. We only care for it. The queen looked thoughtful. Your kind must be patient to wait for something so small. Ryan smiled. Patience helps life grow stronger. The queen turned her gaze toward the seed and then back at him. Perhaps your seed will teach my people patience. I hope it does, Ryan said. It would be a small start. The air around them shimmered softly as the nebula's light changed color. The golden tone turned into a mix of blue and green, painting their faces with gentle hues. The queen's wings reflected the light, making her seem even more radiant. Ryan noticed how her eyes shone with depth, not just light. Queen Aurelian, he said quietly. May I ask you something? You may. Do your people have dreams? She blinked, thinking for a moment. We do not dream as you do. We remember. Our sleep is filled with memories of the past. We cannot imagine what has not yet happened. Ryan looked surprised. So you live without imagination? She nodded slightly. We shape what we see. We repeat what we know. The unknown frightens us. Maybe that is why beauty feels strange to you, Ryan said kindly. Beauty often lives in what we do not expect. The queen tilted her head, considering his words. You speak like someone who has dreamed many times. Humans dream even when awake, Rian said with a smile. It is how we build hope. She looked at him for a long time. The pool beside them rippled slightly as if the planet itself listened. You speak gently, Ryan. Your words reach farther than your sighs. Words are like seeds, he said. If spoken with care, they can grow. The Queen gave a small sound that might have been amusement. Then may your words grow as your seed does. As the day passed, the two continued to talk. Ryan asked questions about her people, their art, their songs, and their ways of life. The Queen answered with honesty, though sometimes she paused as if her thoughts traveled deep into memory. In return, she asked about Earth, about its oceans, trees, and skies. Ryan described rain that touched the sea, snow that fell softly on mountains, and cities filled with light. When he spoke of laughter, she seemed puzzled. You make sounds of joy? She asked. Yes, Ryan said. Laughter is how we share happiness. Strange, she said, but her tone was gentle. Our joy is shown in light, not sound. Then your world must shine beautifully when you are happy, Ryan said with a smile. Her eyes glowed faintly. Perhaps one day you will see it. As the sun began to lower, Ryan stood and looked at the seed one last time. It had not yet sprouted, but the soil shimmered faintly around it. Thank you for today, he said. I learned much, the Queen nodded. You may return again, human Ryan. Your words do not bring harm. I will come, Ryan said, and I will bring care for our seed. Before he left, the Queen spoke again. Ryan, she said slowly, why do you keep smiling when you look at me? Ryan turned, his eyes kind. Because every time I see you, I remember that beauty is not what we expect. It is what surprises us. The Queen looked at him quietly as he walked away, his figure fading among the glowing trees. When he was gone, she turned to the pool. The water showed her reflection again. She touched her cracked crown and whispered softly, He sees beauty in what is broken. For the first time in many seasons, she felt warmth that did not come from the sun. It came from something she did not yet understand, something small but alive, like a seed beginning to grow. The days passed gently on the quiet green planet. The nebula's light shifted each morning, painting the skies in shades of blue and gold. Ryan visited the clearing every day, always walking the same glowing path through the crystal forest. The creatures that floated in the air began to follow him as if curious about his calm presence. He moved slowly and spoke softly to everything around him. The planet seemed to know him now, and it greeted him with peaceful hums each time he arrived. When Ryan reached the pool one morning, he saw the small seed he had planted with the Queen had begun to sprout. A tiny green stem rose from the soil, reaching toward the light. The Queen stood nearby, watching it closely. Her wings reflected silver and pink shades across the pool's surface. She looked at Ryan when he approached, her violet eyes bright with quiet curiosity. It grows, she said softly. Yes, Ryan answered with a smile. It listened to your light and decided to wake. The Queen looked at the small plant. It is plain, she said. No glow, no song, no color. Ryan nodded. That is true, but it will grow strong because it is simple. She tilted her head. Why would simplicity be strength? Because it survives through calm, Ryan explained. It does not need to be the most colorful or the tallest. It just lives, and that is enough. The Queen looked at the sprout again and thought about his words. Your kind finds meaning in such small things. Sometimes small things remind us of what really matters, Ryan said. They teach patience and care. The Queen turned her gaze to him. Perhaps you should see something in return, something that belongs to my heart. I would be honored, Ryan said. She extended her hand toward the far side of the pool. The air shimmered with light as if a doorway of crystal opened in the air. Beyond it was a long passage made of smooth stone that glowed faintly with green patterns. The Queen led him through it. Her wings brushed against the walls, creating soft ripples of light that danced around them. Ryan followed quietly, his heart steady but full of wonder. At the end of the passage, they stepped into a wide open chamber filled with glowing plants and floating lights. It was peaceful but carried a feeling of sadness. The air hummed with soft tones, almost like music. The Queen stopped and spread her wings slightly. This is my private garden, she said. It is called the Garden of Echoes. Ryan looked around with wide eyes. The garden was beautiful and strange. Flowers floated in the air, their petals moving slowly like jellyfish in water. Each one released a soft sound that blended with the others to form gentle music. The ground was covered in soft moss that shone faintly under their feet. In the center stood a tall crystal tree whose branches reached toward the ceiling, glowing softly. "What are the sounds?" Rian asked quietly. The queen's voice turned softer. "Each flower carries a memory. When one of my people leaves this world, we gather their last song and place it here. The garden remembers them through sound." Ryan listened carefully. The melody was full of emotion. It was not sadness alone. It was love, peace, and something deeper. He could feel the presence of many lives still whispering through the air. "Your people do not forget," Ryan said. "No," she replied. "We do not dream as your kind does. So we remember instead. The Garden of Echoes keeps our history alive." Ryan looked at her. "It is beautiful." The queen turned to face him, her wings glowing softly. "You use that word again." "I do," Ryan said with a small smile. "Because I feel it again." She looked away for a moment, her expression unreadable. "Sometimes I wonder what beauty means in your eyes." "To me," Ryan said, "beauty means feeling alive even when you are remembering something that has ended. It means that the story continues." The queen was silent for a while. Then she walked to one of the floating flowers and placed her hand on it. The sound around them changed. A new melody began, slower, softer, and full of quiet emotion. The queen looked at Ryan. "This is the echo of my family," she said. "They left long ago. I visit them here when the silence of the palace grows too heavy." Ryan lowered his head respectfully. "Your love keeps them alive in every sound." The queen's wings folded gently against her back. "You speak as if you have lost many." Ryan looked at the glowing tree in the center. "I have lost some, but when I remember them kindly, I feel they are still near." "Then you understand," she said quietly. "Perhaps more than I thought." They stood together in silence, listening to the soft music around them. Time seemed to move slowly in the Garden of Echoes. The light shifted as if the planet breathed along with the songs. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment and let the sounds fill his heart. He could feel peace flowing through him, gentle and real. When he opened his eyes again, he saw that the queen was watching him. "What do you hear?" she asked. "Hope," Ryan said. "It sounds like hope." The queen looked thoughtful. "I did not think hope had a sound." "Everything has a sound if we listen carefully enough," Ryan replied. She studied him for a long moment. "You see more than most human, Rian." "Maybe because I look with my heart," he said simply. The queen gave a quiet sound that might have been amusement. "Your heart sees far," Ryan smiled. "Maybe it sees what words cannot say." They continued walking through the garden. Ryan noticed that the flowers reacted when the queen passed by, glowing brighter as if greeting her. The harmony of the music changed with her steps. He could tell that this place loved her deeply, just as she loved it. It was a connection beyond words. The queen stopped near the tall crystal tree. "This tree is the oldest memory," she said. "It was here before my birth. It listens to every echo and keeps them safe. When I am unsure, I come here to find peace." Ryan stepped closer and touched the surface of the tree. It was cool, but pulsed softly like a heartbeat. He closed his eyes and listened. Faint sounds moved through it, whispers of laughter, soft songs, even what felt like gentle wind. It was life recorded in light. He looked at her. "It feels alive." "It is," she said. "Everything here is alive because memory is alive." Ryan nodded. "Your people have found a beautiful way to remember." "Do humans remember like this?" she asked. "Not quite," he said. "We use stories, songs, pictures, and words. But sometimes, even when we forget details, the feeling stays in our hearts." The queen thought about that. "Perhaps that is your Garden of Echoes." "Maybe," Ryan said softly. They sat near the glowing tree for a while. Ryan took out a small recorder and captured the sound of the garden. "I want to share this with my people," he said, "so they know what remembrance sounds like in another world." The queen looked at him with interest. "Would they understand?" "Maybe not at first," Rian said. "But even if they do not, they will feel it." She nodded slowly. "Feeling is often stronger than understanding." "Yes," Ryan agreed. "Sometimes it is the first step to understanding." The queen turned her gaze to the crystal ceiling above. The light from the nebula moved across it, scattering colors like flowing water. Her wings reflected the same light. For a moment, Ryan thought she looked like part of the nebula itself, bright, endless, and peaceful. "Your world must be full of wonders," she said. It is, Ryan replied. But it also has quiet places like this one, where people go to remember. Then perhaps our worlds are not so different, she said softly. Maybe not, Ryan said with a smile. We just use different ways to say the same things. The Queen looked at him again. You speak gently, yet your words carry meaning that stays. Then maybe they are finding a home, Ryan said kindly. She looked at the glowing flowers and the small lights drifting in the air. When you are gone, I will hear your words in this garden. They will join the echoes. That would be an honor, Ryan said. The Queen's expression softened. Then your voice will stay here, human Ryan. Ryan stood quietly beside her, listening as the garden song changed again. This time it carried a new tone, light, peaceful, and filled with warmth. He did not know if the garden had truly added his presence to its memory, but the sound felt brighter, and the air seemed to smile. When they finally walked back toward the pool, the little sprout near the water had grown taller. Its leaves had begun to shine faintly under the light. The Queen looked at it with gentle surprise. It changes, she said. Yes, Ryan replied. It learns from your world. She looked at him. And perhaps we are learning from each other. Perhaps we are, Ryan said. As the two stood beside the pool, the soft hum of the forest rose again. The day began to fade, and the light of the nebula painted the sky in soft silver shades. The Queen turned to Ryan one last time. You called my world beautiful, she said. Now I think I understand a little of what you meant. Ryan smiled. Then the seed has begun to grow. The Queen looked at the small plant, then at him. Yes, she said. It has. They stood together in quiet peace as the stars appeared above them. The wind carried a faint song from the Garden of Echoes, gentle and soft, as if it whispered their shared hope into the night. The following days passed in calm rhythm. The forest glowed gently each morning, and the pool reflected the sky like a mirror. Ryan's visits had become a quiet habit. Each day he walked the same shining path, and each day he found the Queen waiting near the growing plant. It now stood as tall as his knee, its silver-green leaves shining in the sun. The Queen often watched it for long moments, her eyes soft with curiosity and thought. It grows faster than I expected, she said one morning. Ryan nodded. It has found comfort in your world. The Queen looked at the small plant with care. It looks simple, yet it shines in light. That is how beauty works, Ryan said. Sometimes quiet things hold the deepest glow. The Queen gave a soft sound of agreement. I begin to see your meaning. She led him that day through the gardens again, and they spoke of many things, music, memory, and the way dreams shaped human hope. Each talk brought them closer, not in words alone, but in understanding. The Queen, once distant and formal, now spoke with warmth. Her tone had softened, and her eyes no longer carried the same cold caution. She had begun to see Ryan not as a visitor, but as a friend. One afternoon, when the light of the nebula turned pale blue, a faint trembling passed through the ground. The sound was low but steady, like the slow beat of a drum beneath the soil. Ryan looked around with concern. The trees shimmered strangely, their crystal trunks reflecting flashes of white. What is that? He asked. The Queen lifted her head, listening to the air. It is the pulse of the storm. It comes once in many years. The nebula releases energy that touches this world. When that happens, our skies burn with light. Will it harm your people? Ryan asked carefully. No, she said. Not if the shields hold. But the energy can be strong, and it touches everything alive. Ryan looked toward the small seedling beside the pool. Its leaves trembled slightly as the hum in the air grew stronger. The plant might not survive, he said quietly. The Queen watched him. You care for it deeply. It is a symbol, Ryan said. Of what we are learning together. She nodded slowly. Then we will protect it. By evening, the sky began to change. Clouds of glowing light swirled above the forest. They were not dark like rain clouds, but bright with color, green, blue, and gold. The sound in the air deepened. The entire planet seemed to hum as if preparing for something powerful. The Queen's wings shimmered with energy, and faint light ran along her crown. It begins, she said. The storm of light. Ryan looked up at the sky with awe. The sight was both beautiful and strange. The clouds twisted like ribbons, and streaks of pure light moved across them. The forest glowed even brighter, every tree alive with soft sound. But the beauty carried danger, too. The hum turned into waves that shook the ground and the air grew heavy with energy. Your palace, Ryan said. It may need protection. The shield domes are rising, the Queen said calmly. My people know what to do. What about your garden? Ryan asked quickly. The Garden of Echoes? Her eyes flickered with thought. It has survived many storms, but the light this time feels stronger. A sudden burst of brightness flashed through the sky, and the ground trembled harder. The pool near them rippled violently, its smooth surface breaking into waves of light. The small plant swayed dangerously, its leaves fluttering under the strange wind. Ryan stepped forward without thinking. We have to cover it. The Queen moved closer. The storm is too wild. It will pass soon. Ryan shook his head. If it survives, it will show both our worlds can share life. He knelt beside the plant, trying to build a small barrier of stones around it. The light flickered across his face, making his features glow. The Queen watched him, feeling something unfamiliar rise inside her, a mixture of worry and admiration. She had seen courage many times before, but never like this. This was not the courage of battle or command. It was the courage of care. The storm grew stronger. The air filled with swirling light that wrapped around the trees in the pool. The Queen extended her wings, spreading them wide to shield the small area where Ryan worked. The light touched her wings, and they shimmered brighter than ever before, reflecting every color of the nebula. The sound of the planet rose like music, deep and endless. Ryan looked up at her. You should take cover, she shook her head. The Queen does not hide while her world trembles. Then let me help, he said. You already are, she replied. For a long moment they stood together as the storm of light surrounded them. The trees bent slightly, glowing more brightly than ever. The pool turned into a sea of colors, and the small plant in the center of it all shimmered with new energy. It absorbed the light instead of breaking under it. Its leaves turned silver-white, shining with calm power. The Queen stared at it in awe. It grows stronger. Ryan smiled, shielding his eyes from the glow. It listens to the storm, not fears it. The Queen's voice softened. You speak as if storms are teachers. They are, Ryan said. They remind us what truly matters. The storm lasted through the night. It was both frightening and beautiful, a dance of colors that filled the sky. The Queen and Ryan stayed near the pool until the trembling stopped. When the air grew calm again, the first rays of soft gold light touched the forest. The ground still glowed faintly, but peace had returned. The Queen lowered her wings slowly. The edges of her shell were marked with faint lines of light where the storm's energy had touched her. Her crown gleamed brighter than before. She looked at the pool, then at the small plant. It now stood taller, its leaves wide and silver green, shining in the morning sun. Ryan smiled. It survived, yes, she said softly. It did. He touched one of the leaves gently. And it has grown more beautiful. The Queen looked at him for a long time. You risked much for this small life. Life is never small, Ryan said. Every life adds its color to the universe. The Queen looked down at her wings. Your words are simple, yet they change how I see. Maybe they remind you of what you already knew, Ryan said kindly. She looked at him, her violet eyes glowing in the sunlight. When I stood beside you in the storm, I saw myself through your eyes. I saw a creature of light, not brokenness. You are, Ryan said softly. You always were. The Queen was silent for a moment. The soft hum of the forest filled the air. On my world, she said, we are taught that perfection is strength. But you see strength in imperfection. You speak of beauty in scars, hope in storms. It feels strange to believe, yet I cannot deny what I saw. Sometimes truth feels strange, Ryan said. That is how we know it is new. She smiled faintly. You make even storms sound gentle. They can be, Ryan said, when they bring understanding. The Queen turned her gaze toward the pool again. The reflection showed her tall form beside the small human. For the first time she looked at her own cracks, the fine lines across her wings and crown, and did not feel shame. She saw light resting within them, filling each mark with quiet glow. Perhaps, she said softly, the storm wanted me to see that even broken things can shine. Ryan smiled. That is the lesson every storm leaves behind. The Queen looked up at the brightening sky. The nebula is calm again. The light has returned to peace. And so has your world, Ryan said. She nodded slowly, and perhaps my heart as well. They stood together in silence for a while, watching the new morning rise. The pool reflected the sky clearly again. The silver-green plant swayed gently in the soft breeze, no longer afraid of the world around it. Its strength seemed to reach beyond the soil, touching both their hearts. Ryan turned to the Queen. "When I leave, will you keep watching over it?" "Of course," she said. "It carries both our worlds in its roots." Ryan smiled warmly. "Then it will never be alone." The Queen looked at him. "Nor will I." Her words hung in the air, soft and sincere. The forest shimmered with quiet light as if it heard and approved. The creatures that floated above them moved in slow circles, glowing gently. Ryan took a deep breath, feeling the peace that followed the storm. "Sometimes," he said, "storms come to remind us how strong light can be." The Queen nodded. "And how bright the heart can shine." The two stood side by side, watching the soft reflection in the pool, the tall Queen with her glowing wings and the gentle human who had taught her to see herself differently. The air carried the faint echo of the storm, not in sound but in feeling, a quiet reminder of change. As the day moved forward, the Queen looked once more at the silver-green plant. "It is beautiful," she said softly. Ryan smiled at her words. "So are you." She looked at him with calm eyes. "Perhaps now I begin to believe that." They stayed there until the sun climbed high, the garden filled with light, peace, and new understanding. The storm had passed, but its lesson remained alive in every shimmer of the air. The morning sun rose slowly over the glowing forest. Its light touched every crystal tree and shone upon the small silver-green plant, which now reached halfway up Ryan's knee. The plant's leaves shimmered in gentle hues, reflecting the nebula's colors and the pool's soft glow. Queen Aurelian stood beside it, her wings catching the light in delicate patterns. She seemed taller, more confident, and yet softer than Ryan had ever seen her. There was peace in her presence, a quiet glow that came from within. Ryan approached the clearing carrying a small pack of supplies and some water. He had promised to care for the plant and the garden during his final visit before leaving the planet. He moved carefully along the glowing path, stepping lightly on the soft ground. The floating creatures welcomed him with gentle movement, drifting around his head and shoulders as if saying hello. "Good morning, Queen Aurelian," he said warmly. "How has your night been?" She turned to him, her violet eyes bright with calm light. "Quiet," she said softly. "I listened to the echoes and thought about your words." "They still remain in my heart," Ryan smiled. "Then our work is not done yet. Even the smallest lesson can grow strong over time." The Queen walked toward the pool, her wings moving slowly behind her. "This small plant," she said, "reminds me of what we have spoken about. It is fragile, yet it survived the storm." "Yes," Ryan said. "It listened to your world and now it shines because it had care." The Queen looked down at the tiny plant. Its leaves moved gently in the breeze, sparkling in silver-green light. "Perhaps I can learn from it," she said. "Even something small can carry meaning." Ryan nodded. "That is why beauty is not only what we see, it is what we feel and protect." She watched him carefully. "And yet humans have many opinions about beauty," she said. "Some call me ugly because of my cracks in my wings. Some would not understand why you called me beautiful." Ryan stepped closer. "Because beauty is not about perfection," he said. "It is about the strength, the light, and the care in every living thing. You have protected this world, shared its stories, and taught me about your people. That is beautiful." The Queen looked away for a moment, studying the forest around them. She thought about the countless memories in the Garden of Echoes, the glowing plants and the music that carried the voices of her people. For many cycles, she had hidden herself behind rules, tradition, and pride. No one had ever spoken to her with such understanding. No one had ever called her beautiful in a way that felt real. "You speak words that feel strange," she said softly, "and yet they reach deep inside me." "Then they are doing their work," Ryan said with a small smile. She turned toward the pool. "You leave soon, do you not?" "Yes," Ryan said. "But I hope the plant and our words will stay here. They will grow alongside your garden." The Queen nodded. "I will care for both. Perhaps your presence will be remembered in the echoes." Ryan knelt beside the small plant. He gently touched one of its silver-green leaves. "This plant is simple," he said, "yet it is alive because it has love and care. The same is true for all hearts that are open." The Queen observed him carefully. "You speak with kindness, human Ryan. It is a gift for me and for this world." He smiled. "Kindness travels farther than we often think." They stood together for a while in quiet peace. The light of the nebula reflected off the crystal trees, casting soft shades across the forest. The hum of the Garden of Echoes floated faintly in the distance, a gentle reminder of memory and life. Ryan looked at the Queen and noticed the quiet strength in her stance, the soft glow in her eyes, and the way her wings caught the light without shame. "Queen Aurelian," he said quietly, "may I ask you something before I leave?" "You may," she said. "Why do you think you are not beautiful?" He asked gently. The Queen looked at him surprised. "Because my shell is cracked, my crown is broken, and my people often call me ugly. I have hidden myself for many years," Ryan smiled softly, "and yet I see you. I see your care, your strength, and your courage. That is beauty. The cracks do not hide you. They make you real." The Queen remained silent for a long moment. She looked down at her wings, at the soft glow across her body, and then at the small plant beside the pool. The words he spoke sank slowly into her heart. For the first time, she did not see her flaws as shame. She saw them as evidence of her life, her stories, and her choices. "You call me beautiful," she said quietly, almost in wonder. "I do," Ryan said, "because beauty is not what is perfect. Beauty is what touches hearts, what inspires, and what carries hope. You have all of these qualities." The Queen closed her eyes briefly, feeling warmth rise in her chest. She opened them and looked at him again. "Then perhaps I am not ugly. Perhaps I am worthy of that word." "You are," Ryan said softly, his smile steady and calm. "Always." For a long moment they stood in silence, the soft hum of the forest and the faint echoes of the garden surrounding them. The small plant swayed gently in the breeze, shining with the quiet light of growth and life. Ryan looked at it and then at the Queen. "Your world and mine are not so different," he said. "We both carry life, memory, and hope." The Queen's wings shifted as she nodded. "Perhaps we are not so different," she said. "And perhaps beauty lives where understanding grows." Ryan's smile grew wider. "It always does." She looked at the forest, at the pool, and then back at him. "When you leave, will you remember me as you see me now?" "I will," Ryan said. "And I hope you will remember yourself as I see you. Strong, kind, and full of light." The Queen lowered her gaze to the plant. It had grown taller since the storm, stronger than before. "It is like us," she said softly. "Fragile at first, but alive and growing." "Yes," Ryan said. "And it will continue to grow even when I am gone." She looked up at him, her wings catching the sunlight. "Then your gift is more than a seed. It is hope." "Exactly," he said. The Queen considered this for a long moment. "Human Ryan, you have given me more than words. You have shown me that beauty can live in scars, in quiet courage, and in care for life. Perhaps this is the lesson I will carry for many seasons." Ryan nodded. "That is all I could hope to do." The soft light of the nebula shifted, casting golden and violet reflections across the forest. The small plant's leaves shimmered brightly, reflecting both their images in the light. It was as if the seed had absorbed not just water and sunlight, but also the warmth of trust and friendship. Ryan knelt once more, brushing his hand gently across the plant's leaves. "Take care of it," he said, "and it will take care of your world." The Queen stood beside him. "I will, and it will remind me of you." A gentle breeze moved through the forest. The floating creatures circled around them, glowing softly. The crystal trees reflected the light, filling the clearing with calm energy. Queen Aurelian looked at Ryan one last time before he turned toward the path that led back to his ship. "You called me gorgeous," she said softly. "Why do you do so, human Ryan, when I looked nothing like what your kind calls beautiful?" Ryan paused and turned back to her. His eyes were calm and his smile gentle. "Because you remind me what beauty truly means. It is not what is flawless. It is courage in storms, care in life, and light that shines through cracks. You carry all of this, and that is gorgeous." The Queen studied him for a long moment, her violet eyes wide with wonder. She lowered her gaze to the plant, then back at him. "Perhaps now I can see myself differently." "Then it is no longer just the plant that has grown," Ryan said softly. "Your heart has grown as well." She gave a faint sound that might have been laughter, warm and musical. "Then maybe your words have rooted deeper than I thought." Ryan nodded. "And every time you look at the garden, it will remind you of what we shared." The Queen's wings shimmered with the sunlight. "Yes, and I will no longer hide my cracks. They remind me that even broken things can shine. Ryan took a deep breath, smiling quietly. Then your world is brighter, and so is your heart. She looked at him with calm eyes. And so are you. With that, Ryan turned toward the path that led to his ship. The forest seemed to shine in farewell, the floating creatures glowing brighter than before. Queen Aurelian watched him go, her wings folded gracefully behind her, her heart filled with a quiet warmth that had never been there before. The small plant swayed gently in the breeze, its silver-green leaves shining like a mirror, reflecting the bond they had formed. As the ship rose into the sky, leaving behind the peaceful forest, the queen whispered softly, "Gorgeous. Yes, I understand now." The floating creatures circled around the pool, the echoes of the garden singing quietly. The seed, once small and fragile, now stood tall. It carried life, hope, and the memory of a friendship that had changed both worlds. And in the soft glow of the forest, Queen Aurelian smiled, seeing herself as she had never seen before, and knowing that beauty was not in perfection, but in light, courage, and love.